Hey everyone, welcome to the 497th episode of Just Shoot It, a podcast about filmmaking, screenwriting, and directing. This episode is brought to you by patrons Cleve Brown, Micah Taylor, and David Burt, and David Bradburn. I'm Oren Kaplan.
And I'm Matt and Oren. Today we've got Maya Margolina on the show. She's a commercial director who I met recently, and I thought, boy, what a cool, smart person. Let's talk to Maya.
Yeah, even though you talk to a cool, smart person every week.
I said, finally, someone worth talking to.
Yes.
And I'll leave it at that.
No, Maya's cool. I think something that you pointed out to me, you're like, I saw her kind of do a discussion about how she pitches commercials, and she was like, she knows a lot about fashion and design and those things. And it's interesting that you and I kind of as comedy people maybe lead with different things in our pitches and stuff. And so I'm always surprised sometimes after doing this for so long, meeting directors that pitch stuff in a totally different way than you and I pitch. And it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think this conversation highlights the things we do the same and the things that we do differently. And I think it almost always kind of boils down to just like vocabulary, right? We're kind of saying the same thing in a slightly different way. I keep thinking about how in the conversation, she would just say, like when she's like directing, she'd be like, cute, hot. And I would say stupid. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I just like chuckled over this stuff and be like, that's so dumb. And they kind of mean the same thing. They both mean like, good job. I like what you're doing. Right.
Yeah.
But the reaction, the vocabulary is utterly different. Yeah.
It is funny how comedy people, like one of the best compliments they can give is like, that is so stupid.
Yeah.
And we love it.
Yeah. The delight of something being so human and vulnerable and weird and surprising and obvious all boils down to stupid. It's the cutest, hottest thing I can think of.
Yeah. It's funny listening to the Lonely Island guys talk about their work. You know, they work so hard to find things that are unexpectedly stupid. You know?
Yeah.
And they're pretty good at it. Well, speaking of other directors, before we talk to Maya, I wanted to say that this is the first episode we're doing since our mixer that we did. And I don't know why I'm so surprised, but I feel like it was like a real, quite a giant success.
Yeah, well, I did most of the work, so that checks out.
That could be it.
Or should I be like, is this where is this it?
I couldn't find the event, which is probably why I thought it was so fun. I was at a different event.
Yeah. No, it was really great. A really good turnout.
Yeah, people seem to like enjoy being there. Could it be that it's because we didn't do a panel and we didn't force people to sit for an hour and a half listening to us talk?
I wonder. Maybe. I think the panels aren't all bad. They're just so much work for us.
They're a ton of work for us. They make us more stressed, and it may be that that affects our experience of the events.
Yeah, I was joking to people. I was like, oh, Oren's 10 minutes late and I'm not stressed at all. Right? Like, whereas sometimes if you're 10 minutes late to being 2 hours early, I'm like, oh God, where is he? Because we're setting up chairs and like you have to check the PA while I'm like ordering pizza or whatever it is. Like the division of labor was quite clear. And in this case, like everything was ready to go. There was like a nice fire pit. Literally, there was a bluegrass jam band just playing.
That was probably the coolest thing. Like this woman brought her own clogging floor and was just clogging for like an hour.
Yeah. And they were just, and also one of our listeners literally like was playing the banjo. He had like a waxed mustache, you know, like ones that you twist at the ends. And after a couple songs, he finished up, packed up his banjo. He slapped on a name tag and said, "Hey, I'm Zach. I'm here to talk to other filmmakers." That's cool.
I mean, the name tags, and they mostly worked. I tried something with the name tags that kind of half worked, but I think it's fun. I freaking love name tags. It just makes it so much easier to talk to people when you walk up to a group. And all these people had in common that they all were somehow connected to film in a way. So it's an easy conversation to have. And we had like so many past guests too.
Yeah, it was nice. It was really nice.
But my favorite thing was totally unrelated to you, just 100% related to me, was the fact that I don't know if I had mentioned it at like on the mic at the party or on the podcast or wherever, but I'd brought up this idea of this 5-minute limit for a conversation at a party. And I mean, people abided. People were like, okay, we still have like 30 seconds left. You can go to your next conversation. And even in the few of the emails I got from our listeners, they're like, yeah, don't worry. I believe I spoke to you for less than 5 minutes at the party. And I felt like I talked to a lot of people, and I think that 5-minute rule that you're making fun of, in the same way that I triple slice my bagels, I think it's actually pretty good.
I feel like I talked to a lot of people, and we had really deep, meaningful conversations, starting at about 5.5 minutes in. Yeah, we really got to the good stuff. So, different strokes for different folks. But thank you all for showing up. It was really fun. Thank you all for donating. This was the first event that we haven't lost money on, which is incredible. So all of that goes towards supporting the show, supporting our editors, and putting on the next one, honestly. Which we're really excited to do. Yeah.
What do you think? Like, you said every 2 months, right?
I said every 2 months. The holidays tend to be pretty tricky for people, right? Because between social engagements and all of that stuff. So who knows if it's before the end of the year, we'll see, maybe early next year.
I don't know. Early December, I feel like people would be down to...
Yeah, maybe in between. Yeah. Let me check my calendar. It's full already, Oren.
Oh, sorry. You're directing a lot of Super Bowl commercials in December.
I guess it is a Wednesday, which is really nice, actually. I think the Wednesday of it all felt pretty good.
Yeah. Ever since the Netflix show came out, it's a very popular night to host. It's good. Yeah, there's a good snap. His snap joke. Well, cool. Anything else that we don't want to talk about stuff we're working on? Just know that it's amazing.
It's really good. I think we're going to do it.
Been replaced by AI.
We have an overdue conversation about
patreon.com/shootbutton.
All of the stuff that we've been working on. But in the meantime, we had a really long conversation with Maya. So I want to get into it. Let's hop into our conversation with Maya Margolina. I have big feelings, Maya, and I don't know how to address them. No, it was literally we all talked about how to teach our kids how to meditate for an hour in the middle of the night. It was kind of great.
That's so sweet. I just locked mine in the bathroom.
Yeah, there you go.
You have a kid?
No.
Oh.
That's why you made that joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
We would make that joke too, I guess.
Well, Maya, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Maya and I met because we both work with this company called Departure that does these kind of cool online meetups on Friday mornings. And Maya was presenting, and she was walking through a treatment for one of the very cool brands that she works on. And I was so fascinated because everything, all of the different beats that you would hit in a treatment and the thought process and the discovery call, all of that stuff felt very similar to the things that we talk about on the show and the things that Oren and I experience all the time, but just in a different world. Just in a world where, the references are different, the beats are different, the things that are the most important kind of just feel a little alien to me in a way that I was like, this is fascinating. Let's talk more. And so I thought, well, I'm going to hound her for a couple months until she decides to come on the show. And here we are.
Nice. Well, Maya, just to give us some context, can you tell us what kind of stuff you direct?
Yeah, I direct all sorts of stuff. But I think the work that Matt is talking about is mostly my work in the fashion and beauty world.
And you do mainly commercials in that space.
Commercials, TV spots, but of course now more and more social online stuff too.
That's cool. And how did you get into directing that stuff?
Kind of by accident. I mean, not by accident. I started as a music supervisor way back in the day. And I was doing all sorts of small things, but then I was doing TV shows.
Can you tell? I'm sure 98% of our audience knows what a music supervisor does, but can you just tell us the 2% for the 2% that don't, what that means?
Yeah. So in the most simplistic sense, you find songs that would go well for certain music cues, certain moments in a show or a movie, and then you license them. Of course, there's a lot of creative work that goes in between that. But that's the nuts and bolts of it.
And a lot of logistical work. There's so much contracts and negotiation and clearances and all of that stuff is
But it's kind of like being like a casting director, I think of it sometimes, because you come to a casting director and you're like, hey, we need this type of actor, we have this amount of money, we want this type of thing, or find us someone that no one's ever seen before that's amazing, or we want this famous person, and your job is to say well, you can't get, we will rock you or whatever, but we can get you this song from this new indie band, and I think a lot of people think that older music is cheaper for some reason, when in reality it's the most expensive, right?
Yeah, there's definitely some of that, but I feel like the people I was working with were indie, so no one was ever going after something huge, but I definitely had those moments where mostly it was so hard. Now it's a lot easier with like ChatGPT and Spotify and TikTok to find who owns a song, who owns the masters. But looking for the rights is like its own insane private investigator type shit. Like I have tried to find a Russian song for the theme intro to Wobble Palace, this movie I music supervised by my friend Eugene with Dasha Nekrasova in it.
Wait. Eugene, what's his last name?
Kostolovsky.
Yeah.
Colorenko.
Yeah. There we go.
We
had him on when he did Spree. Thank you. Yeah.
I love Spree. Yeah. So we were trying to find this really specific song that we found, but no one owned songs in Russia in like in the 60s.
Yeah.
So like finding
Putin owns it.
Yeah, it was owned by the state. And then now, like in a post-Soviet world, the ownership has changed hands, but it was so hard to find. And I ended up finding this woman only because my stepdad, I'm from Uzbekistan, he's from Ukraine, and his best friend is on the show Singing with the Stars, but like Russia version. He's one of the judges, which is like, and I like called in my one celeb favor. I was like, can you call your best friend and ask him like if he can help me find? And somehow he did. I don't know how this happened, but like he found that woman's great granddaughter. And I like FaceTimed her. And first I wrote her a letter in Russian.
And you're like, no, it's going to be it's South by Southwest is a huge deal.
Can you talking to like a woman from the countryside, like, trying to convince her to like give us this for, $100?
Now I have to admit that sounds all complicated and crazy, but to me, like you hire a music supervisor because you as the director assumes that they have like good knowledge of music.
Good taste, maybe.
And good taste too. Yeah. Is that?
Yeah. I think both, maybe some of both, but it also really depends on the music supervisor. Like sometimes it's about like having good relationships or like knowing a lot of people. So maybe you need that kind of music supervisor, or maybe you need someone that can like help you find certain composers too. Maybe there are no synced tracks and it's all score. And so some people help creatively to that end, but I haven't done it in so long, honestly. I mean, I'll do it like really once in a while these days.
So how do you segue from that to commercial directing?
How do I segue from it? Okay, so I was doing that and I did did a movie with FKA Twigs. It was her like first acting debut. And from there, I like met someone that helped me get a job at Glossier. But simultaneously, I was also shooting music videos. I'm like shooting and directing music videos. They were small.
There it is. Sure. But so really you were always interested in directing. So music supervising was your day job, so to speak, right?
And that's a great way to, I'm assuming, meet bands and find out about their music and know which songs are the good ones, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was great. So, it didn't feel like a fluid transition. I didn't go to school for film or anything like that. So I was kind of teaching myself as I went, but that's basically how I got into it. Shooting a lot of music videos, doing music supervision to pay the bills, doing lots of other things to pay the bills too. Like that does not pay that well. And finally I got a job at Glossier, which I was like shooting everything for them. And I was like the first person they ever hired. Like we were a team of 6 when I started there. Now it's like a huge multinational corporation.
The in-house director.
Yeah.
And what kind of stuff were you shooting there?
Lots of like really intimate, fashion-y, like model things, but it was super lo-fi. Like they liked that. That was a part of like the Glossier brand. So it was kind of like
Terry Richardson style.
Yeah, except less like creepy.
Sure.
It's creepier.
Yeah. Unpack that for us though.
Creepier.
When you say lo-fi, especially back then, what does that translate to? What does that mean in practical terms?
I think it means a girl with a camera in a bedroom with like another cute girl and like no lights.
Really? No.
I mean,
or like
when
sunlight.
When I could afford like one light, yeah, I would get it. But like the budget was nil back then. Yeah, mostly sunlight, that kind of stuff. Honestly, even like shooting on an iPhone sometimes. Sometimes we would shoot on a camcorder or something like that. And then it would be like really lo-fi. But lo-fi in that there wasn't a lot of resources, but it was also part of the creative aesthetic. And I think it still kind of is.
Lo-fi, like DIY, basically. You're not like, I guess like you said, maybe you are pulling a camcorder here or there or something like that. But like, yeah, it's more just like rough and tumble rather than like, or rather maybe I'm putting words into your mouth. how would you embrace that aesthetic beyond just the gear that you have?
Yeah, it was both, right? The DIY-ness, and also the aesthetic of it. And by that, I mean like a handheld camera, using natural light to light, really minimal props, going to someone's like bedroom and having like the flowers that they already had in their home, kind of like working with what's there.
Yeah.
And also keeping it really intimate and not, it was like very lightly scripted, but keeping those like interstitial moments too. So it felt like someone who had just started making videos was making videos, which was accurate.
Well, I'm curious, is that like where you kind of start learning how to talk to models and how to block them and how to find the right angles that make clothing look good and make them look good and make the lighting look good?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about like the things that you learned through that job?
I learned so much through that job. It was really like my first step into that world, but also my first step into working within a corporate structure, even though it was really small, like when we started. So it wasn't, Condé Nast, but just that sort of like etiquette, of being within a corporate space, but also like working with models who might be really big, but you're still shooting them in this lo-fi way. So yeah, you kind of learn how to like relate to people, learn how to make people feel comfortable on camera, which is huge, right? Like I am so uncomfortable on camera. If someone could help me with that, like that would be great. So it's kind of keeping that like energy, whatever energy that you want on screen, you have to sort of imbibe that within the room that you're working in.
Yeah.
Can you give like an example of that?
An example of it. Okay, I can give you a general example. I don't know if I can find like a exact one
you don't
right
have
now.
to name names or anything, but yeah.
Okay. You guys do this too, right? Like if you're shooting comedy, you probably want to be a little bit funny behind the camera. Like
sweaty, thirsty. Yeah. That's it.
Me too.
Very serious. Funnier. That's the only direction I give, really.
Yeah.
Funnier.
You do it funny? Yeah.
Do it again. Funny this time.
Yeah.
You probably say a lot.
Well, with models, I feel like there's something, I guess like it could be like really quiet, right? And small and like you're there and like,
or like
intimate
really
and close.
vibey. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like a party atmosphere or like friends have like laughing about things, right?
Yes. Right. And you want to mimic all of that. I think one big thing is you want to be really positively like supportive and vocal about it. So even if it's a small and intimate thing, you want to keep being supportive, like with your face, but also verbally. You've seen the sort of like Zoolanderification of this stuff, but like obviously when I'm on set, I'm just saying like hot and cute a lot to the point where
like what Oren and I say all the time.
Yeah, mainly when I'm directing, fried chicken commercials.
Yeah, sure.
It's true. It usually is like hot and cute and they look great. So I just am like telling them to keep it going,
Yeah. Which is, look, I was being cheeky, but it is the equivalent of like, I'll actively laugh, right? Because I'm actually kind of like a tough audience, which isn't something I like about myself, especially, like I'm not like an effusive laughter. Some people like that.
Why
laugh
is
a
that?
lot. Just like who knows,
Got
self-hatred,
really high
depression, all sorts of, really high
Was your
standards.
father?
No, he's actually.
He was missing his funny bone. It's not funny. It's
I don't know
medical
why,
conditions.
That's funny. Like I think I'm in my head too much about it, right? But and my wife is an actor, so she's like, hey, make sure they know that you like it. Like I could be loving it and just kind of like in my head and like squinting at a monitor. And like your point of like, mimicking the energy that you're looking for, kind of modeling that for them, showing them that, my version of hot, cute is just like making sure I actually laugh at a joke. You know?
Can you fake laugh?
Yeah, for sure.
What's your fake laugh?
I can't do it in the
Do it, Matt.
I was
that was pretty fake. That was really fake. Good job.
You think so? I think it was pretty good. It wasn't bad. Maya's laughing, right? Yeah,
that was fake too. She's a good fake laugh.
That was very funny.
Yeah.
There's this. If you ever see like the behind the scenes footage of E.T. and watch Spielberg like talking to the kids on that set, it's pretty like amazing how he basically becomes a kid, a child.
Yeah.
He's like, ooh, what does that button do? Like press that, take that, watch that. Oh, it's kind of scary. Like he's kind of giving internal monologue and stuff, you know. And yeah, you were talking with Zoolander. I think even before Zoolander, there's the cliche of the like make love to the camera, you know, person with a European accent, like talking to models. But I think that it is challenging, I think, to some people who are not comfortable saying stuff like that on set in front of a, you know, room full of like 100 people.
Certainly I've never said hot or cute to any person I've ever directed ever. Yeah.
Maybe that'll change after this.
I should try it out.
Yeah.
I feel like I've actually said that on like comedy things too. Like I've done a few things that are like cheeky and funny.
Sure.
And I think like it's so ingrained in me now that I will still say it after I'm like hot, even though there were like nothing hot happened.
I think that's great, actually.
No, but it's great to compliment people, you know?
Yeah.
Regardless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, you know,
I mean it.
Yeah. If it's second nature, then, you know, you don't need to audit yourself. It does make me think of, do you guys know the comic Mateo Lane? He's great. He's very funny. But he would say work all the time. Kind of like the way people would say slay or something like that. Like it's a little automatic. And he's a super charismatic guy. He was the host of this show. And we shot with him for like about a week. And by the end, like on wrap day, everyone was just saying work. And the way people say copy on set, they'd be like, work, got it. You know, I think it was really funny.
With a bunch of actors now that say like heard. They'd be like,
work.
Hey, do that a little faster.
Heard.
Yeah.
Heard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that nice? Heard? Is that passive aggressive? It's like it's a little bit like noted.
I guess it is like copy. I don't know. I think it's like they just want me to know that they've internalized the note or whatever, you know?
Yeah. It's very like safe space of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Is that nice? The very safe space of them? That sounds like you might be being facetious. I can't tell.
I just can't tell if I want to hear like her.
Yeah.
Like on set. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that?
Yeah. Well, so I want to get back to, let's talk about the evolution of your career, right? Because I feel like we're seeing kind of all of the different points that create this line, right? The track record of how like, okay, having good taste in music can kind of translate into like having good taste in photography and fashion as well. What was that first job after Glossier that kind of felt like a level up?
Yeah. Or when you had to kind of like start competing for the work.
Well, I went to Condé Nast right after that, and that was a level up because I led a much bigger team there. It's like 8 people plus like all these freelancers. Like it was and that led me to commercial work because I had a cover shoot that I did with Kendall Jenner go viral, and luckily like my name was on it. It was editorial, so I think that's what this is like if I had to track back. And from there, I got an offer to do a commercial in China for Lancome, and they were like, "We want you to do exactly this. Just take this that you made,
just the same thing." Yeah.
They were like very straightforward and funny about that. When I came over, they were like, "Your video is so viral in China. We want to show you." And they pulled up like 3 separate laptops.
They're like, "Look at all the views."
Yeah, and they were like, "Here's one video copy that went super viral from your video," and it was like just like another actor was doing the same thing. And then they pulled up like 3 different versions, and I was like, I know they were doing it to be flattering, but I was so surprised by it that I was like, okay, like pay me for that. Like, I don't know, rude.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you copy my work. Cool.
Well,
I get nothing from
They're
it.
like, yeah, we're doing it right. The other people are ripping you off, right?
No, I know, but I was like, that's so cool.
Wait,
Yeah.
is
They
the video
copied
you
me
referenced?
exactly.
Is it first time the Allure video?
Yeah, I did that. It was so long ago now, but
that's where you asked Kendall Jenner to do 9 things for the first time.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like you kind of invented this format.
Yeah,
right?
I did actually. I invented a lot of formats for Condé Nast.
That's funny. Do you know Joe Sabia? Wasn't?
Yeah, of course.
You must. Yeah.
Yes, I know Joe really well.
Or like
format man.
Yeah. King of formats. You know, there was an era specifically, and it's still happening, but there was a really like kind of exploding like post BuzzFeed. Condé Nast was like, okay, we've got access to all these celebrities, and they had all of these different magazine brands that were really incredibly valuable at the time. And they're like, how do we make this work? How do we make the New Yorker work, Wired work, Vogue work, you know, Bon Appetit, they're Condé Nast too, right? Maybe. Yeah, all these like iconic, you know, brands. How do you usher them into the internet era? And they hired this guy Joe Sabia, who invented the supercut, I think, actually, and a handful of other awesome creators to kind of like make formats that we could replicate. that you could do over and over again, rinse and repeat, right? This is at the same time that like Oren and I are like College Humor and Funny or Die, and it's a brand new thing every single time somebody wants to promote their new talk show or whatever.
Oh, I was going to ask about working with like Kendall Jenner and like celebrities and stuff. Like, do you ever get nervous, or is that just like something that you've just done it so many times and it's like no big deal?
Usually they're so nice. I feel like I've been lucky / most of these models are like real professionals, especially kind of the higher up you go and the bigger they are. They're just so good at what they do. They almost know to make you comfortable in a way. So usually I feel pretty good about it, especially if I like know their work. I'm more excited than I would say nervous. If I'm nervous, it's more about a complicated shot that I really want to work. And, maybe I'm nervous because the blocking is complicated and I won't have enough time to work with them on it or something like that. Or I'm nervous that they won't feel comfortable in the blocking, like literally with their bodies. Maybe it's too strange for their certain physicality, or maybe they just don't want to do that move, or something that maybe they just don't want to do a cheeky idea that we've like drummed up. And it's often that they will not know sort of the specificities of the shoot until they get there. They're really busy. Who knows how much information has gone to them prior to the shoot, and it's your job to like communicate it when they get there. So that's the part I think that can be scary, where you're like, okay, I have so much information to give you right now.
Yeah, I'm about to pitch you right now.
Here's what it is.
Yeah. And if you don't like it, we're in trouble.
We're screwed. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a huge, to me, that's the hardest part about, especially kind of the smaller celebrity jobs where they are just seeing the creative for the first time, or they show up to set and they're like, oh yeah, I just read the script on the way to the shoot and I don't really think it's funny, or I don't really like
I'm trying to think of a time
you're like, I didn't write that.
You're like, yeah, I didn't.
Like, I thought it was stupid too. What do you want to do?
That was me.
The worst is when like you do think that the joke is dumb and like somebody else pushed it through, and then you have to be like, oh, hello, esteemed celebrity. Here's the premise that I'm gonna just swallow and live with. Here we go.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever worked with a celebrity that knew what was going on the day of the shoot until I walked them through it.
I've had a couple where
you're so busy.
every once in a while you get a call ahead of time and you get and walk them through the boards or something.
Maybe, yeah.
But yes,
I don't think I've ever had it actually. Yeah,
it's kind of rare. I do find that it turns out better when that happens.
They like it. Yeah.
Totally. I've had a football player show up and just be like, "This entire concept is everything's in place. Like he just needs to walk in and sit down, and we start shooting." And he shows up and I'm like, hey, so you got a chance to look at the creative. And of course, all the agents and everyone tell you, oh yeah, we sent it. Everything's
loves
fine.
It. Or, he had 2 notes, like it's all their voice. Yeah.
And then he showed up and he's like, I'm not shooting this. And I was like, okay, let's shoot some B-roll while we figure out what the new script is.
Anyway.
Yeah. So you're at Condé Nast, you're shooting all this cool stuff. You're working with celebrities, you're leading a team, which I'm assuming means you're not just directing, but also kind of creative directing a bit, and kind of you're the agency and the client and the production company all at the same time. So when do you why do you leave, and what's kind of the next step? Like, how do you get to these TV commercials with Mariah Carey?
Oh, I love her. So I stayed there for a while, and doing a lot of that. I was also EPing. So I was EP there, but because we were revamping the entire video department. Like that's kind of why they brought me in, because they knew that I had started the video department at Glossier. So I'd created all of like the brand book and the creative direction necessary to start that with Emily Weiss, the founder. And so I did the same thing at Allure. So I've kind of always been creative directing to that end. But just FYI, the title was EP technically.
Okay.
But because of that and the opportunities I got within in-house, and a few of them going viral, or like maybe not viral, but at least like getting some numbers
of note. Yeah.
I was getting more and more reach outs from other production companies wanting me to pitch with them. So I was like, okay, maybe this is like a thing I can do. And eventually enough came in that I was like, okay, I have to leave because it was conflicting with the work, and I ended up not being able to do both simultaneously.
And was there something where you're like, ooh, now instead of having to stick to one brand and do kind of manage all these people and show up to these meetings, I can just be the director? Is that why you chose to leave? Like,
Yeah,
It
are
was
you
the
kidding?
money. It was the money also, right? Like,
It was both. Like,
yeah.
first of all, they like, like getting flown like first class to go shoot a commercial somewhere when I never had any money growing up and being like, I'm sorry, what the fuck is this? Like, that's great. But yeah, honestly, it was mostly that you could focus on the creative and do something in a much larger scope and not
That's
have to
when the
think about
lore-
producing it all.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, of course, you still think about production is so much of directing, but when you're not the literal producer and you can actually focus on directing, right?
So did you sign with the company like just right off after Condé Nast?
So I was doing things alone first and was kind of getting them piecemeal. I didn't even know how it worked. I didn't know that you had to sign with a company. I didn't know that that was even an option. So I was kind of going with whoever would hit me up in my
Were you
inbox.
making treatments and stuff like that? Like, I guess, had you learned how to pitch basically?
Yeah, I was making treatments. I was probably making like the worst treatments anyone's ever seen because I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know you could hire an external graphic designer to like help you. So I was making everything in like Google Slides. I was actually also still working with Condé because like internally other brands had seen my work for Allure. So then I started working with Vogue on their branded side while I was still at Allure, because they thought I was a freelancer. Like they didn't know I worked in the building. So it just kind of kept like coming back.
That's cool.
So because of that, and I already knew how Condé Nast worked production wise, I just made my own production company, super small, obviously. But so I was doing a lot of branded work in my own production company before I signed with anyone else.
Just tracking approximately where you are timeline wise relative, like what year it is. I think that the arms race of treatments really kind of skyrocketed as you were figuring it out, I think, actually.
Oh yeah? Was it not that serious beforehand?
It was not that serious before. Because, when I was a kid, like in college, I interned at the Directors Bureau and like would see with their treatments and like they weren't.
It'd be like a Word doc.
It would be a Word
one
document.
image maybe at the most, right?
Yeah.
But that's like the Directors Bureau, right? Like everyone's a name.
Not everyone was a name at the Directors Bureau. There were some names that you knew for sure, but like there were plenty of people there who were like, hey, I'm developing talent who happens to be friends with someone, basically.
But you got to think that back then, early 2000s, there were just way less directors, especially commercial directors.
Yeah.
So everyone is kind of a name because they're the people that could afford to buy film and shoot spend $100,000 on a spec spot.
What year are you guys talking?
Like 2005, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right around there.
Okay.
But just think about the advent of like animated GIFs, the advent of Google Slides even, right? Like, or just people being good at Photoshop or InDesign. All of that stuff is kind of tracking with our careers as like, that's the reason why treatments get so much better. Like Keith Schofield used to always he would post treatments that didn't make the grade on his website. That was the other time I would see treatments, and they were mostly written. They were mostly Word documents.
Is that Henry Schofield's father or something?
No, I think they're unrelated to each other.
Okay.
Yeah. But they might both be at Caviar, or at least Keith is.
Keith is for sure. And you're like, oh, his work is so sick, basically.
Yeah.
But I think I think that like we weren't using the word deck at like College Humor. You know what I mean? And that was like, I don't know. Yeah.
But that's because
11 years ago, you know?
But don't you think that's because comedy almost has to exist within like a low aesthetic space? Because it's not funny to like be dressed in Gucci on an incredibly cinematic set. Like it's just not funny unless you're doing like tryouts, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, I think I see what you're saying, but no matter what, whether it's like a high aesthetic or a low aesthetic, you still have to communicate that to people. You have to be like, hey, because when you say high versus low versus when I say high versus low, we could be saying very different things. We still have to get client alignment, right? Like that's where all of this overlaps, right? So high status for me could be anthropology, right? As a brand or whatever, and you could name a designer. I just need to know that my client knows that when we show up on set, this is what the image is going to look like. This is what it's going to feel like, all of that stuff, right? So I think that's all developed thanks to technology is what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, I mean, just trends and things. I personally think that it's just like such a saturated market of directors. Like I see so much work on Instagram, on eye candy, on
Sure.
whatever. And
It's
by
an
the way,
arms
I
race, is what you're
completely
saying.
disagree with you that comedy is not. It doesn't work if it's cinematic. But I think that because there's just so many people now, the competition is just really stiff. And like I've had music supervisor actually come like music composition companies pitch me for I did this for
all the time. Yeah.
for Nestle drumsticks, and it was this Jason Derulo was eating a Nestle drumstick and they wanted to make a song out of the crunches of the drumstick. Like every time he takes a bite, and there was going to be like thousands of Jason Derulos. And so we had companies that had made music, like beats and things, pitch us. And one company sent like a wire drive with like 5 samples, and another company sent like a Google slide deck that had like 4 pages and like also a couple samples and credits. And then this other company sent us this like 50-page InDesign like extravaganza with like something they did for Trident that was exactly the same, and it was beautiful and poppy and this thing, and then just like a library of crunches. And it was like, holy crap, like this presentation is so much better than the other 2 companies. Like we had no choice. We have to hire these people, And
Wait, was that the production company that sent you that?
No, it was, I think the music supervisor connected us,
it was the
3
sound
companies.
design company.
Yeah, they were like like they do music composition and stuff like that for commercials.
Yeah.
But I do think that nowadays, at least my philosophy on commercials, if you're not a name, if you're not, Mark Romanek or whatever, Ava DuVernay or Mike Mills or someone that like makes these epic commercials, then you gotta like wow them with the treatment in a way that it wasn't this competitive 10 years ago because nobody had reels,
Yeah.
because no one could afford to make them unless you were like rich, unless you were a Coppola or something.
Yeah. Where do you think it's going to go? Do you think they're
now
going to be making like the full feature before they like send it?
Maya, I got beat out on getting shortlisted because some dudes like fully shot one of the 15-second spots. Like just shot it over the weekend.
For the before even getting into treatment phase?
Correct.
Just to get shortlisted?
Correct.
What a nerd. Ew. Overachiever.
I was so mad. And also to Oren's earlier point, I was like, yeah, I would shortlist those guys too. They nailed it.
Yeah. But also I think, part of like the reason we were excited to talk to you, I think that Matt was like so excited is that he saw how you pitch. He saw your treatments and he saw how you talk about wardrobe and fashion and vibe and design and color and momentum and energy, and that it was like different than maybe the way we do it. And that's exciting. Like I think, yes, the presentation is something, but also just the way you talk and think about things makes a huge difference. We had this director, Hannah Lux Davis, who started out as a makeup artist. I think that's what she studied, went to makeup school. And so the way she talks about...
She went to film school.
Oh yeah, but didn't she? She had some makeup background.
She
right?
did. Yeah, she did work as a makeup artist, but she.
And so when she's talking to Rihanna or Nicki Minaj or Lady Gaga or whatever, she's like, "I'm gonna make you look so freaking hot," And here's like my ideas from a makeup standpoint, and it's just a vocabulary that like Matt and I would never in a million years know how to even start talking about. And so that I think
just
there is.
Say that.
Sure. Just say it.
Yeah.
We get to make you look so hot.
Yeah.
I do think with ChatGPT and stuff, it is a lot easier to do that nowadays. I pitched on a body wash thing last year, and I'd never shot like anyone in shower, like people looking like beauty products, really. I hadn't really done, and so I did a lot of like, hey, how would you describe the look of like someone in a shower and how to make them look good? And by the way, what it gave me was like kind of not good, but it got me to think about the right things and ask the right questions and then find the right references, and somehow ended up getting the job.
Yeah. So I want to dig in a little bit because like you were being cheeky with saying like, oh, say that, like say, oh, I'll make you look really hot. That works if you have a body of work where everyone looks really hot.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like I think to your earlier point, but like, and so I could say, hey, this is going to be really funny. And I think people believe me. But like I said, you have to have that track record. And so in order to illustrate how you would make someone look hot or cool or cute or whatever, you have a vocabulary that you would break down. I just want you to just talk to us a little bit more about like your treatment process. And I think that will immediately illuminate all of the things that I'm trying to articulate because I don't even have the vocabulary to do it in the first place.
Okay. It's so hard for me to like.
Let's start with, what the thing that stood out to me was like the discovery call. I think like, you had like a lot of nuggets, right? Like with stuff like, you would always gut check, right? You would ask people questions, right? Like when you were pitching, it was sort of in the form of a question. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, in the discovery call, I feel like you really just want to get to know more of what they want and need, which it's not easy to communicate that. And sometimes it seems like something is really forthright. Like when you say the word, like you were saying this earlier, the word fashionable to you might mean something else to someone else. Like when they say cheeky, what do they mean by cheeky? Or when they say relatable, like what does that mean? There's a lot of those sort of keywords that are used in commercial work that can get, just are sort of diluted with overuse. So in the discovery call, for me, like that's a good opportunity to get to learn more of what they want, right? So I wish it was just as easy as asking like, what do you mean by that? But like your job is to help them figure it out because you never know how they got into that position and like what they went to school for, whatever. Like in this whole industry, you never know that. So I feel like you always have to operate on this level of like a sort of problem solver where you're like, let's figure this out. What do we both mean kind of thing? So sometimes obviously I'm studying, I'm going to look at the deck. Hopefully I've had time to study it a little bit before the call. And, you'll make your list of questions of things that maybe you want to know more about that don't quite make sense or just need a little more explanation. But I will also kind of like bring up specific versions of creative if it's something that is like in studio. I'm like, okay, well, what are we thinking in terms of production design stylistically? Like, do we want it to feel, I'm trying to find a good example, but I'm like, okay, when you say you want it to pop, do you mean you want it to pop in like a toilet paper magazine way? Or do you want it to pop in like a Nadia Lee Cohen way? Like there's so many different ways. So I'll just give them two options. I mean, those were so niche and I would never say that on a call because it's like, they'd be like, who?
Sure.
Well, maybe not Nadia. It's pretty popular, but
right.
I'll find references that make sense for the creative they gave me, even if it's something like a, YSL beauty thing, then I'll speak the YSL beauty language and be like, well, when you say edgy, are you saying like Damien Crissell edgy? He's like a beauty director. Or, do you want something that feels more like Sofia Coppola, edgy just in terms of like how women are presented? Like I'll just find two options that I know they'll understand.
Well, and even when you're saying that, you're not only are you saying you're dropping the reference, but then you're also clarifying, and by Sofia Coppola, I mean the way the women are presented, right? Like just kind of like refining a little bit, which again, I think we do, but like, again, it's just in this different world.
Right, like you're probably doing that with comedy now.
All the time. But I think that and Oren, I want you to keep me honest with this. If I ever mention like commercial directors, especially if they're a young creative, they don't know who I'm talking about most of the time. It's like there aren't that many commercial nerds in the space, which is okay. I wasn't a commercial nerd and, I'm a lightweight relative to people who really, really, really care about that stuff. But like you're always just sort of checking like, where are you coming from? What world is important to you, right? And then
you can we just have to say, I'm thinking kind of like a Wes Anderson type look, and they're like, yes, that's so funny because we were just referencing Wes Anderson earlier ourselves, and you're like, oh wow, what a coincidence. I think like to Maya's point, you make references that they're going to get, and Sofia Coppola, like I guess I'm sure she does a lot of commercials, but I think of her, you think of like the Virgin Suicides or Lost in Translation or Marie Antoinette or The Bling Ring. Like I think that's like to me that she's like a feature director, right? Like and that reference works well. And then like if you do talk about like a David LaChapelle or like someone that like kind of everyone knows, I think in comedy you would say like it's like Apatow-esque or a little more like a Marvel movie. I mean, I reference like in my treatments, I usually reference other commercials because they're the ones that know how to shoot the bright poppy things. When you go to Shot Deck, like 90% of the shots are too dark to put in a commercial treatment, even though they're beautiful and they have much more weight to them from like a character point of view, but they're sometimes just like drab.
So let's talk about swipes then, Maya. What are you pulling from?
Swipes. Okay, so I have so much that I've just like saved. My laptop is busting at the seams and it's a mess, but I will tag and keyword everything, which takes forever, but it's actually really helpful.
What do you tag? Like, what do you use to organize it? Like when you tag, how are you tagging things?
In Preview. So
I didn't even know you could tag things in Preview. That's crazy. Yeah.
It's just the only like, I don't know. I know like that won't go away because I've tried other softwares or apps and then they'll be like, we're closing in a year. And I'm like, I'm going to kill myself. Like, just kidding, I won't. But not right now. But yeah, it works in keyword. So I'll like just type colors or moods or like set design or like the type of beauty, like skin reference as opposed to like makeup. Like there's even differences there, whether you're doing like skincare or makeup. Like those are kind of two different worlds you're pulling from. So I just kind of go in heavy on that. But then I'll also like, I'm using the usual stuff that like other people pull from shop.
Sure.
That eye candy sometimes they need to like get on their
resolution.
Oh yeah. Terrible user experience.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, do they make any money? Like, we need to get them some money so they can.
I don't think any of those companies. I don't think it's a good business. Basically,
I mean, like, it's a little illegally tricky to make money off of other people's work, right?
Yeah. Right.
But
then magazines publish other people's work. So if you're editorializing, like they kind of do an eye candy, because, but then they would have to, I don't know why I'm going on this. I'm like, maybe they could get advertisers when they post.
Yeah. The Film Grab guy, I think, was on Patreon for a minute,
Yeah.
But it's just,
Film Grab.
It's so much work.
I mean, Shot Deck charges money. I think they probably do okay. They're probably the most popular one. And I think us in the commercial world, we are like so used to like finding images, but in the more narrative world, they're like, oh, there's a website I can just search for red interior night drama, or comedy. And so I think Larry over there does okay.
I hope so.
But
thank God for him, honestly.
So how do you format your treatments? Is it always the same? Like intro, script breakdown?
It's not always the same. It depends on how the format of their creatives is. So if it's like one kind of big spot and it's narratively driven, then I'll kind of start with like the story of that and then break it up into, the intro, etc. But instead of going by, like a copy paste sort of way, I try to go with what feels like most important and like consecutively lower and lower. So if narrative is super important, then I'm like starting there. And then if I think what's most important from that is cinematography, then I'll get into that. But maybe that's not. Maybe production design is most important in that particular, or like in the way that I want to approach it. So I'll kind of go in that order. But lately, actually, I've been putting scripts up really high.
It's funny that because I think kind of what you're hitting on, which is I think a thought that I've had, but didn't really occur to me until now, is you just have to order things in order of attention, right? Like what is going to grab people? Like if your treatment is 50 pages and they stopped reading at page 15, then like you need to have 90% of the most important stuff already there, right? While you have their attention.
Yeah.
And then to me, I think the thing about scripts, I think Michael Ryan Fagan, another director we know, had posted, it was John Schwartz. He wrote, where do you put your script breakdown? In the beginning, at the end, or in the middle? I used to not even do script breakdowns when I first started. And then I saw other treatments. I was like, oh yeah, I guess it's kind of nice to describe the commercial. And I heard a few other people do it. I was like, oh wow, that's like really, if you can passionately describe the story of a commercial, then you have a good chance of getting the job, So then I started putting them in the beginning, but then nowadays with AI and animatics and everyone's like literally handing you the commercial and boards that already look amazing. Sometimes it's hard to retell them the same story that they just told you in a way that's remotely interesting.
And every other slide is about how you're going to tell the story. You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe I put them at the end, honestly, like depending on, but like,
because maybe your way
extra jokes at that point,
Maybe the reason you're right for it is because you have a way to do this on stage when everyone else is going to do it on location, right? And you want to lead with that and why that's so cool, or you want to do it in a one or whatever, right? And maybe like to me, you got to open up with like why you're the right director for the job, and that might be because you have a really hot take on the story, or you might just have a way into the wardrobe, or a way into the music, or a way into the cinematography that is interesting and cool, and something that they can take to their boss, the owner of the company, and say like, oh, we just heard this great pitch about our thing. They figured it out, or they made it 10 times cooler, or they found an angle that's interesting, that now we finally have a vibe.
Yeah. You want to start with what is like most exciting to you. I think we're both kind of like getting at, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So no answer is the answer.
Well, no, that is the answer. You start with what feels most important, is most important to the story, which likely is like what made you most excited about the pitch, because like that's the headline of your approach. If you think what will make this spot the most interesting is that it's a oneer, or is that it's super dynamic and shot with a techno crane that's like pushing through all these windows or something, then you want to lead with it so that they can read everything else through the lens of that.
Let me ask, and maybe this is a naive sort of distillation, but like, in the spaces of fashion and beauty, the wardrobe and the makeup and the camera are all kind of meant to work in unison, effectively to say like, hey, people look really cool, right? Like they look really good in one way, shape, or form, right? And so I wonder if you talk to us just a little bit more about like how you approach character when, essentially everything is a product shot when you're in fashion or when you're in beauty, right? Like people's faces, people's bodies, all of that stuff is all part of it. And so I think there is kind of a difference in narrative than like, like if you're doing a Pizza Hut commercial, people are hungry and then the problem is solved by the pizza that gets there. Do you know what I mean?
People don't have enough cheese in their crust.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut is like,
made me hungry.
But so like, when I talk to actors, like I teach an acting class, and like it's at a method school, like it's the Lee Strasberg Institute, right? And I'm teaching them commercial acting. And the funny thing is like an actor's question is always like, what's my motivation? In a commercial, their motivation is that their problem is solved by the product. Right. That's what I tell them, but I'm not working in your space. How does that strike you? Like, does that ring true, or is that kind of, what's the narrative structure and how do you dig into character in your milieu?
Yeah. Okay. So I don't get that question a lot, like on my commercial sets. Of course, in like music video and shorts and narrative stuff that I work on, but especially if you're working with like celebrities or models, like experienced models, they're never going to ask you that.
What are they going to ask you? Like, what are their questions?
Honestly, they're just like, what am I doing? Wait. Yeah. What did you say? How many what?
Calories are in this water? No, that's stupid. The Zoolanderfication.
I feel like now we have to say the triangle of sadnessification, because that first scene where they're like, Balenciaga.
Sure.
Balenciaga, that was so good.
Yeah, grumpy brand versus
grumpy brand versus happy brand. Well, obviously, if we want to talk about vibe, so I'll explain. I also feel like I do a lot of like really interesting movements these days, like a lot of like dynamic shots and blocking. So much of it is about that and getting it right, and a lot. Okay, where I have to stop thinking it in generalizations, because with celebrities, it's like they're presenting themselves. So I'm not like do it like this or like that. Of course, we can go in like variations of like them. I'm like, do it, just like throw it away, do a throwaway version, whatever. And like, I'm like, now doing crazy, just keeping it simple, because you want them to come through, so you're not trying to like make them into anything else usually. But if it's models that need more direction, or real people, which I've worked with too, then yeah, you want to give a lot more direction. And it's more like, because there's less of that motivation in terms of like a specific story.
Yeah, maybe they have an action, but that's kind of it, right? Like,
well, even if it's like, okay, now the product is here and you're really excited about it, like you don't want to give them that as motivation, because that's not going to motivate anyone.
Sure.
Because it's not exciting. It's not, you're like, okay, you're like, I love that. Thank you for bringing it to me. It's like awkward. Yeah. So I think it's more helpful to give them inspiration as like specific characters. I'm like, do it like Zoe Kravitz would in XYZ, in Big Little Lies, like give it drama, but like you're low key sexy. Maybe you're like a yoga teacher, but like also a model. Like I'm giving them like that kind of persona, almost like not the memification of a character, but like, we have no time. You have 30 seconds to get this thing, so I'm not going to go into this like long backstory. of who this character could be, but something that's like easily gettable. I'm like, okay, give Sade or something. Or like, hey, do you remember that like Academy Award speech that Tilda gave? Like you're giving that. It's like, okay, like something that is super pop culture that people can kind of immediately understand and get.
Yeah. It's funny. I have like mixed results with that. My wife's an actress, so I'm always, we watch a lot of TV together and stuff. So I'm always like, oh, that character from Happy Endings, the lawyer woman, like, what if you'd play it like her? And she's like, yeah, I don't really know what that means.
Is that because is that too niche? Did she watch that show and she?
No, she
knew?
Watched, we like she knows the references, I think, but yeah, I don't know. But I think
I have had a model be like, who's Sade? And you're like,
sure,
right.
My daughter's best friend is named Sade.
Really?
I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, after that Sade.
Wait, I wanted to ask. I know we're running out of time, but I had two more questions I was just curious about real quick. One is you mentioned like that you're moving the camera a lot recently. What's your like? How do you even start thinking about camera movement? What gets you excited about the camera?
I mean, it's all about the emotion and story you're trying to convey in the spot, right? I just find I'm up for things that are a lot more like exciting or like have like excitement and dynamism built into the story of the product and the approach. So, it depends on so many different factors, but it's like, is this product like technologically forward or something? Is this like a luxury high-end beauty product that has a lot of tech behind it? It's like an innovation. I'm doing this. This is literally like what I'm pitching on now. So it's the easiest to reference. But like, and I'm like, what does that feel like? So when I think about other things, media I've seen that feel technologically forward, how is the camera moving to imply that?
Yeah.
So maybe that means robot arms that feel, freaky and futuristic. You see something moving super sleek up and down and like through crevices, it feels technologically forward. Even though you might not have, the cinema language to describe that as a viewer, you still feel it implicitly. It's, the same way that if you were shooting a fight scene, you'd be like, let's go handheld. Maybe, if you're shooting on the streets of New York, you're a snappy brother. We're shooting on a long one with a handheld.
Yeah.
That same vibe. So you're kind of like thinking through that lens, like I'm sure you do too. With comedy, I feel like you guys do that. I feel like there's a lot of like wide shots so you catch everyone's like awkward. Right? Like a wide stationary shot to like make them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, cut wide, everyone's looking at you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking though, because everything you're saying completely feels familiar, but I think that the difference is, and maybe I'm just now putting my finger on it. If you look at like your website, you're not always, but oftentimes these spots are in far more abstract places, even if you're at like an amusement park or a store or something like that. They're the way they're tableaus rather than like necessarily like someone's home. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's part of how I think it feels different to me, right? Like it's
more
like
stylized worlds.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, the robo arm on a white cyc when everything's lit in black silhouette and your model is balancing a hamburger on their shoe.
It's a purse.
Right.
But there's
do you know
somewhere.
What I mean? Yeah. That's the difference, right? We're saying I said this off mic, but like the how we're saying it is the same, but what we're saying is still slightly different,
Yeah. I mean, can you tell us, you have this spot for Matt in my favorite store, Nordstrom Rack.
That is awesome. It's like really cool.
Where the camera's moving, you're attaching it to a zipper, you're attaching it to a bag, you're kind of flying in and out of...
You're maybe on plexiglass as well. You're shooting them from below. Yeah.
Was that you just trying to get your work featured by Eye Candy? Is that kind of the motivation?
Oh, that's always my motivation. If someone has his direct line, like, let me know.
Yeah.
That was a lot of the creative of Nordstrom trying to appeal to like a younger demographic, and they wanted it to feel exciting in a way that was intentional through the clothing. So it's not a plexiglass for no reason, right? We're not shooting worm POV, plexi, just because you're doing it because it's for the shoe.
Sure.
And you want to show like the intricate design of the sole. of the soul.
Sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
The shoe sole. Yeah.
it's intentional. A lot of so much of it is tied into each product, right? I mean, and the zipper thing too. It was like, okay, they also wanted to feel seamless. So we had a lot of transitions that we wanted to do too. And the zipper thing actually was because I'd done the zipper shot in Coach and they like loved it so much that they were like, do it again. But yeah, they, that was also, they wanted to show details of clothing and the zipper thing was one of them. So I feel like those shots can be done just for fun and there's like nothing like wrong with that. Freakifying a shot. It's just fun to do. But also obviously like in those cases, it was tied into the creative and the products that they wanted to show too.
Yeah. In that same thought of like, okay, if everything's a product shot in a certain sense, then having visual interest, if you can tie it to said product in some way, of course they love it. It's cool and shows off the product's uniqueness.
Yeah. Or, adds to like the emotionality of something. If you're showing like a sport shoe, like, what do you call a sneaker? Then you want it to feel dynamic and you want it to have that exciting feeling. And like in that moment, doing a worm POV plexi shot is exciting. Maybe not so much anymore because we've all seen it so much that it doesn't carry the cachet of novelty with it anymore. But like when something does, then it's still exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Do you feel like you need to like introduce new shots? Right? Like, because there's a part of me that's like, okay, the plexiglass shot's a great example. I can pitch that thanks to challengers. I get to be like, oh, remember the part in challengers where you see the ball and we're on like an invisible floor. I could pitch that a lot easier, right? But like,
you're like, remember the third banana he ate in Challengers? It was around that time.
Yeah, exactly. Sharing churros, but you know what I mean. Like, it's like, I guess visual interest is kind of at a different premium for us, right? Like, we want things need to feel active. Like Oren loves to move the camera. He loves to I love a sight gag, all of that. But like, I guess I wouldn't be shy about referencing something that felt last season, so to speak,
You wouldn't be shy about it. A shot that felt last season. Yeah, I think there's a place for any of that. I mean, I don't know. People get so upset about like trends or like or feeling derivative or like, like he just did it because of that. It's like, okay, I don't know. Like, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like there's so many, who isn't derivative? Like, I don't know. I'm not fucking Pasolini.
Sure.
Like, I don't care if someone did that shot before me. Like, even copying someone, you're not going to do it exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I don't care about that either. I wouldn't like take something out because it feels outdated. But I guess that statement was more about like, if the emotion that I'm going for is exciting and that format is no longer exciting because we've seen it so much, not because it's uncool anymore, then I won't do it.
Sure.
And I'm like, let's find something that is actually exciting visually that people haven't seen yet.
Yeah. To me, it's derivative when it's like done for no reason, just because it's cool, But if like you say, like the plexiglass is to show the shoes, to show the zipper, to show the cuff link or whatever, like there's a reason to put the camera there. Today, I had I guess I've never called them discovery calls, but I think that's what you guys like, the creative briefing call. And they were like, what do you think about doing this whole commercial on a oneer? And they had sent me boards, really good boards. And like, and they had like their 15 shots in the boards. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, well, the fact that they brought up the oneer means I should like that idea. But also, I just kind of feel like it's unnecessary,
Yeah.
So what did you say? You were like, played out.
No, I
We've
said,
seen it. Yeah.
like the reality is it's kind of a challenged budget and oneers are just hard. Like it's hard to cheat stuff, you have to do everything for real. And then it's hard to get the 15 and it's hard to do the 6s and all the cut downs.
You can't say challenged budget and oneer in the same context. You know what I mean? Like, okay, do you have 4 rehearsal days?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Even with 4 rehearsal days, it's more just like most of the time it's a bad idea. That's the real problem to me.
Yeah.
That's
like what I keep telling, okay, go. I'm like, guys,
cut already. You know what I think is the real flex is like cutting 2 or 3 times. Like long takes are cool, but just like a oneer, but with 1 or 2 cuts that you meant to do, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. I love
threer?
cutting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cutting's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Jason Reitman, he made that movie Saturday Night, and he had designed the whole thing as a oneer. And then his dad, before he passed away, he was telling him like, "Hey, Dad, we wrote the script. It's about the first episode of Saturday Night Live, and it's going to be a oneer." And his dad's like, "That's like that. Why would you do that?" His dad, famous director.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so stupid. You're taking away one of the best tools a filmmaker has, like the ability to cut from one shot to another shot. You can do so much with that.
He said that on his deathbed. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. No, I think
he didn't bother to say I love you.
Don't want her.
But I wanted to ask my other question real quick, which is, you were on the art class roster where I'm on. So you've been on rosters, you've been off rosters, you've been in-house, you've been out of house. What's your freelance right now in the US? I know you're kind of on various rosters around the world. Can you just give us the pros and cons of being on a roster? It sounds like you have your option of being on a roster or not. You've chosen to be freelance for now. Can you just tell us a little bit about why?
Yeah, I liked both. I mean, I loved working with art class. Vince is so great. And Gino. I love Gino too. The whole team, really. But at that point, there was there's always a Wild West in production. One EP told me there's a revolution every 5 years where let's shake up and everything changes. And maybe that's true. I don't know. I don't think I've been in commercial production long enough. There's definitely a shift, but I haven't seen. If it happens again, then I'll subscribe to that theory. Yeah. But there was this moment where I kept getting reach outs from an agency and they were like, "Oh, we want to do it with our in-house team." I'm like, "Okay." Or it would be another production company. Like, "We want to put you up for this." So with those, art class is great. So I would ask them about it and they'd be like, "Okay, well, we can loan you out." And sometimes I did that. But then there was enough fashion ones where, so a lot of big brands like Victoria's Secret will basically have a contract with a production company that does all their jobs. So, and those production companies don't have people on their roster. They just work with the people they want to work with. So it might not be forever. These people aren't in-house, right? It'll be a company that they just like working with. So they just continue to do it through them. So I kept getting those too. And I was like, okay, so I'm getting so many more of these. I was getting a lot of work through Art Class too. They're really good. But I didn't want to turn these down. Those are really exciting to me. And it kept getting more difficult. And as soon as you say loan out, some companies are like, forget it. Even though it might not be that much money, it's just another level of complication.
So they just don't want to bother. They're like, we're in between Maya and Amy.
Maybe. I just didn't even want to.
Maya's a loan out. Okay, well, never. Let's just go with Amy.
Right? I honestly, fuck Amy. And don't go with her. And no, they didn't. But no, I just didn't want to add any layer of complete. I just want to be yep, I'm in. Ready to go. You want the process to be smooth, and it felt like it was complicating it. So I went out on my own and it was great. Financially, it actually was better, which is weird. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, it's because you had built such a huge network of, especially in the fashion space, but probably in kind of the editorial and celebrity and cool, vibey, world of Condé Nast, and you're having drinks with Anna Wintour and all that stuff.
She's here right now.
Tell her what's up. Tell her
Anna.
we'll have a slot for her on the podcast eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
It's been really busy.
Yeah, it's a real Matt Damon situation for her.
But so when you're in that situation where you're generating so many of your own leads, it's kind of tough to be tied to one, be exclusive with one company, especially a company that maybe doesn't specialize in that space that you're such a star in. But it does kind of ebb and flow to me. I feel like when everything's super busy, it's nice to be with a company that's just trying to get you the biggest jobs,
Yeah.
But when it's just 2 weeks of nothing, you're like, God, I wish I could just I see all my friends that were behind me now working with all my friends because they think I'm untouchable now. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean your friends working?
Oren's saying that this is the first time in 10 years that I'm working and he's not.
Oh,
that's what but no, you are working. You are working actually.
Yeah.
But,
no.
Or if Oren has a day off, he's like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah. No, I mean, let's say when you were at Condé Nast, people that were below you that were kind of working on things like this, kind of doing the smaller projects while you're doing the bigger projects. And then you go and you sign with some company and then all your old contacts are hiring the people because they're like, oh yeah, Maya's too big for us now. We'll hire these. And you're like, well, maybe I'm not too big,
Oh, okay. I get it. Yeah.
That. I mean, I see it. For me, it's our art class has been really good and cool. But yeah, when things are a hair slow, I'm like sniffing around a little bit.
Sure.
Like, where are
I
the jobs, you know?
see.
And when they're not slow, I'm like so thankful that art class is like just like acting like my agent, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Running interference, so to speak.
Yeah.
I miss more like the team element of being signed to a roster than that.
Mhm.
Like, I liked being able to get off a job and just be like, let's talk about how that went. Or like, yeah, like water cooler chat,
Mhm.
which is, you know, sometimes I still have that because I'll work with producers recurrently and like clients over and over again. So like you still have a bit of that, but not so much. Often it's just, you know, like working in a silo. Like obviously I have people I work with often, but yeah, I miss that element. I think
Yeah. There's also nice to have a consistent style of work. Like, okay, this is how we do it. We do the briefing, then we do the treatment, and then we have a call to go over the treatment. Because, you know, half these like kind of small companies don't even do that second call where you're presenting the treatment, you know?
Yeah, or
Uh,
just you're just always learning how they do production, right? Like it's not like
Yeah.
there's a playbook that we all abide by, you know, like it's all kind of just like passed down, sort of, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there are certain things that we all have to do, like payroll or whatever, but like I'm constantly when I'm with a new company, like checking like what are your expectations, you know, like and I feel kind of needy asking sometimes because they know that they do it the way they do it, but they don't realize that every other company does it slightly differently.
Yeah.
You know?
Wait, that's interesting. What do you ask?
I'm just constantly like edit's a really good example. Like, you know, the 2 jobs ago, I literally was not looped in the slightest bit. We said, hey, that's a wrap. And then 2 weeks later, I got a Dropbox link with finals. Right. And then the job that I'm on now, I'm like a little bit more ingrained with the company. And I'm kind of like, I would love to do a director's pass first, you know, but wasn't really sure if that was in the cards or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they say?
They were like, oh, yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's not, they don't even understand why it's important to us, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
I thought you meant more like, okay, that too, but just like pre-pro. You know,
Sure,
okay, is
sure.
there a PPB?
Yeah.
How many calls are you expecting? Like what
Yep.
kind of is the creative director expecting XYZ? Are you
Yep.
meeting with these people? Whatever.
Yep. Or like,
To me, it's like, are you using Google Calendar or iCal? That's like the big killer.
sure. But all that stuff, all those little things, it's death by a thousand cuts. And when you're jumping between project and project, it's like, okay, what are we doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just did 2 jobs in a row. One was with art class and one was without art class. And at art class, we had an edit session for a week, like in the suite with a client agency. We're all there. They're like, Oren, what do you think the whole time?
They know what salad you like, you know.
Yes. The Goop Kitchen Chinese chicken salad.
Go Cobb no.
And
Cobb no
then,
bacon.
and then on Thursday, we present to the client and we're all on the call together and we're like, hey, here's the edit. We're so excited. And, you know, I also, when I showed the agency my cut, I had a day to show them. And I'm like, this is what's working. This is where I'd love your input. And then my other job, it was like, yep, we got an editor. He just put a cut together. He emailed it to the agency. They wrote some notes on Frame.io and here they are. Cut this shot, cut this shot, cut this shot. So we're just cutting those shots and then we're going to email it to the client. And you're like, can I talk to someone about something?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
those are
exactly.
temp, you know?
Yeah. I know.
So it's like, and then you find yourself in the situation where like, you know, at my other company, I do this, like I think the results are better. You know, when we do casting, we give them one select and one backup. We don't show them 800 people. You know,
Well, and just to bring it back to the Maya of it all, we're complaining about like solid hard scripts where like there's a setup and a payoff, right? And so we're like, oh, we would prefer that you cut a beat sooner because you're tipping the joke or whatever. Like that's the sort of nuance that we're talking about. But like when it comes to stuff that's like pure fashion, more editorial, like the whole sequence, an editor can just make up on their own, right? Walk us through that a little bit. Great. I'm glad that I'm wrong. Tell me more.
I mean, sometimes when you're just like, oh, I'm making like a BTS film or something, you're just like, sure, cut it, whatever. But yeah, there's still a story, like for sure. Even with something that's like a simple, or that you might think is like a simple beauty product thing, there's still sort of like, I mean, obviously it depends, like this preface is so like duh, but like obviously it depends on the creative. But you still might have a story where you're like, okay, well, emotionally we want to start like with intrigue. And then maybe you're building towards something and then like the product comes in. And when the product comes in, there's like an emotional shift there, right? Like everything's been righted or like suddenly everything is better. Even if it's not like going from black to white, there is still these like nuanced shifts. And then you want to like kind of hit this apex of movement and energy. And then you kind of want to hit this sort of like everything's resolved emotional feeling. So there's still a narrative arc, even though it might not be, you know, like a PTA narrative arc.
Sure. And how is that arc then communicated to post?
Well, hopefully I'm there. Okay, so this like past time, I just had a fashion shoot that I did that had like a script that I wrote, and the shots were really specific, and we built like all these sets in this giant warehouse. It was like 6 sets. So obviously there's a specific order we want to go in, and there's certain transitions that are built in. But even those sometimes, you know, get thrown out in the edit if you're not there. Or I mean, if it doesn't make sense.
Or even if it's like the thing that keeps me up at night is like it kind of works in the temp, but if they just kind of you rotoscope that one finger a little bit better and scoot it 3 frames, or you know, like this, like the finishing, then everyone would love it. But like because you're not there to like protect it a little bit and really show them before they
or the music isn't ended incorrectly.
Yeah, all that's the stuff I get.
I know, it's so sad when that happens.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, so this last thing that I did, we were able to have all the tech on the pre-light and have like my techno on the pre-light. So I was able to shoot a previs that was actually a previs and not like on my phone, which is helpful too. But I shot the previs with our movement director, and because I did that, and because she was like so good and so hot, like I cut it together real quick, and like literally the edit looks like that because they saw it and were like, yeah, like that's great.
Right. That's what we want.
So
sorry, I'm going to ask I'm going to ask the dumbest question. What's the difference between like a choreographer and a movement director?
Yeah. So they can hold the same title, and a lot of choreographers are movement directors and vice versa. The difference is just whether it's choreography in terms of like dance, and movement direction is maybe it's just posing. Maybe it's not even posing. Maybe it's like a certain walk and like a feel of how they move.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah. Often I do that with like, if I often movement direct myself. So sometimes you don't need it, but if there's a lot of people, it really helps to have a movement director. Yeah.
Sounds fun. I like stunt people. I like choreographers. I've never had a movement director.
Stunt person, that's cool. I mean, choreographer, you have. A lot of choreo people are movement directors.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but it's all like more like proper dance, basically. Like,
I did a job where it was a lot of extras at like a party, and it was a music video, and there was a music track, and the extras, I just wanted them to all kind of be moving to the music, but not in a way that's like taking anything away from like the main person that's like singing or doing the real dance moves. And I just cast all the extras were dancers, and all like, and we had like a choreographer. Yeah, I called them choreographers, but on set. But just like, can you just like give the people in the background something to do that's just to the beat, that looks kind of cool. It has some swagger.
It's not just like
it's not like peas and carrots talk. You know,
peas and carrots. Yeah, the peas and carrots of movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, Maya, I know it's very late where you live right now.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
If people want to follow you, what's the best thing they can do? Instagram?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's Maya, which is @ MAYACHKA _ 4 underscores.
No, that's the worst.
But honestly, I know I did it to like be funny, I think.
And it was really like, that was like kind of a bad business decision.
It was
I think
really
if you
late
just
at night,
Google
and I got
Maya
hacked.
Margolina.
No, it was really late at night and I got hacked, and I had to change my name, and I was like, whoa. And I thought it was cute. Okay, anyway, but if you just type in Mayachka, I pop up as the first one anyway, without the underscore.
That's great.
But okay, you could also Google Maya Margolina.
Cool. Awesome. Well, do you have like 2 more minutes just to endorse something with us?
Yeah,
and then we'll
sure.
let you go.
Ooh, okay, the endorsements. Fun.
Unpaid endorsements.
So my unpaid endorsement is Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind.
Nausicaa?
Yeah, it's an old Studio Ghibli movie. It's an old Miyazaki movie about a princess in a post-apocalyptic world where she's flying around on a glider. That's like kind of like a Miyazaki classic, like kind of like from an old era. But like I had never watched it, and I'd been like kind of like working my way through it. But it's like way more like 70s and like not metal, but like kind of in that like realm of like, Led Zeppelin would be really into this movie kind of energy of like, it's like it's like pre-Princess Mononoke. So it's still got the kind of naturalism that Miyazaki loves, but like with like tanks and like a giant warrior that they awaken from the deep. And it's pretty sick, actually. It's pretty good. So
Whoa.
Nausicaa in the Valley of the
Friendly?
Wind. I think
Adding to my letterboxd.
I endorsed for sure. Your eldest Oren would be down. Like I can't wait for my daughter to be old enough to watch it.
Yeah, okay.
It's not great for a 3 or 4 year old. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's my endorsement. Maya, what you got?
Okay, I have 2. Okay, one is I'm really into Flora AI right now. It's a node-based AI, and you can make animations on it really easily. And you could also do a lot of creative direction research. It's really cool. It's a startup started by like artists and filmmaker students. So I like that about them too. It's like a collective. You can get like a free month or something. It's really interesting to play with. And then, okay, my
Wait, sorry, what's it called again?
Flora AI.
Yeah, the node based, it almost looks like you're like doing AI, but in DaVinci or something.
Yeah,
Is
it
it
looks
FloraFauna.ai.
Yeah.
It looks like you're like a very complicated engineer, but I swear it's like, it's easy. They also have these like templates, so you can kind of like copy paste a node structure and then play within that. It's just a good way to like learn AI too.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Okay, that's really fun for me because I've been animating with AI just like for fun and actually sometimes for work too, for like storyboards or like things that I want to like ideas that I kind of want to animate more into life. Okay, and the other thing is, well, you said a movie, and that makes me want to say a movie. Okay, then Copycat. It's an erotic thriller from the 90s, or it might be like late 80s, it might be like 89 or something. Sigourney Weaver banger. Harry Connick Jr. gives a performance of a lifetime, career defining. It's campy, it's so fun, it's kind of scary. It's really good.
Yes, I remember the box. I remember like the VHS box at the movie rental store. It's like Sigourney's in like Harry Connick Jr.'s reflection of it on his sunglass, I guess, or eyeglass.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
it's
cool.
incredible. Also,
That's
the production design, like her apartment, like you don't get these apartments anymore. You don't get this kind of production design anymore.
Yeah, sick.
Incredible. Yeah. Okay, third recommendation, Low Cinema. Are you guys in New York? No, you're not. You're in LA.
No. Low Cinema, the chain?
No. Low. Oh, it's kind of like a troll on that. It's LOW, just low cinema, opened by John Wilson and his friends in Ridgewood, Queens. And it's so good. It's just like a cute little theater. They have these like forged seats, vintage movie theater seats, you know, the old school ones that are like, that like velvet feeling with like graphics on them. It's really cool.
You guys just really ignore my impression. That's fine.
Oh my God. I thought that was just your being.
I give John Wilson vibes, so that's okay.
What do you do it again?
I said, oh, wow.
Okay. I like it.
It's pretty
it was
good.
Really good.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. He does that like when someone is saying something insane.
Yes.
Just to kind of keep them going. Like it feels like he's trying to show them that he accepts them in some small way, even though they're fully bonkers and maybe he doesn't agree with them at all. Oh, wow.
Yes. Now that you say it, I absolutely can note it. Like when someone's like strapped to a scaffolding.
Yeah.
And they're like, so I was right here, but naked. And there was a pit.
Yeah. Anyway.
I love.
Low Cinema sounds excellent. That's
great. You guys should come see it if you ever come to New York City, the big city.
Yeah, that's right.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Tasted the apple.
Yeah. Get a second taste of the apple.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, get yourself out to Queens. Kaplan, what you got, buddy?
So we have in our bedroom, we have a TV that, you know, just kind of like a cheap TV because we don't really watch a lot of TV there. But so we, you know, in the living room, we have like an Apple TV and that's like how we watch most things. But in the bedroom, I was like, what's the cheapest thing I can get to watch like Netflix or whatever? Which, by the way, Matt doesn't have Netflix. It's so weird. But we got just the Roku, you know, from Amazon Prime Day or whatever. and I was watching this show called Black Rabbit. It's this new Jason Bateman show because we're having one of the directors, Ben Seminoff, on the podcast. I was like, oh, I'll check out an episode. And my wife was going to sleep halfway through the show, and I did not realize this until that happened, but I was holding the Roku remote, and there's a headphone jack in the remote.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I just actually plugged these headphones that I'm wearing right now for the podcast into it. And I was in bed. I assume you could probably wear like earbuds that aren't like but I could control the volume, and I was just watching my TV while my wife was sleeping and just using headphones.
You can do that with a
PlayStation
as well. Like a PlayStation remote, you can do that. And it is awesome. Yeah.
Damn, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So I thought that was really cool. And then I sent this to Matt. I think you were completely disinterested, but
that's probably...
I accidentally, on Reddit, they think I'm like into coffee shops for some reason. I literally never searched or talked about coffee shops on Reddit ever, but now the barista subreddit is just so hilarious. And it's just people talking, just mainly baristas talking about annoying coffee orders. But, there'll be a whole thread about like how annoyed do you get if people leave right at closing time, or they say, hold on, I'm just sending an email. And it seems like the consensus is most baristas would prefer that as soon as they start putting the chairs up, you pack up and leave. And then some people are like, well, it's like etiquette 101. And it's all these things that we don't know, about names on cups. It's about the orders. Like so many people have this complaint that we like civilians walk into a Starbucks or something and we'll be like, I'll just have a decaf, and they're like, a decaf what? Like a decaf coffee, like Americano? No, drip coffee, obviously. Like that, all these things we think are obvious because every person comes kind of preloaded with their own coffee culture. And baristas just tell me exactly what you want. And
just tell me what you want and then leave, please. Thank you.
And it's just so funny to read their daily lives. It's almost like if I ever retired, it would be fun, I think, to work at a coffee shop or like at a place where just you're serving a lot of people and just...
That's clearly from a person who's never done that before.
No comment. But
have you had our service industry job, Oren? That's a no. That's an obvious no.
I know,
you would know. Yeah.
No, I've been, at the bake sale at the elementary school. I've manned the booth.
Yeah.
But I feel like I get the same joy that I imagine I would get from working in a coffee shop by just reading the barista subreddit, because it's just the funniest interactions with humans and their coffee. Anyhow,
Matt, were you in the service industry?
Briefly, as a child. In high school.
Matt told all of us he was in the service, and we thought something completely different.
Yeah. No, I worked at a restaurant for a couple of years as a kid. Yeah.
As a child, defying labor laws.
It was in China.
It was totally legal. It was part-time. It was fine. Todo Un Poco, shout out. Is a Mexican-Italian fusion restaurant. Best restaurant in town.
You got to go through the service industry. You got to go through the service.
Yeah, that's
at one point in your life.
Well, if you've worked at a restaurant, please let us know. Our email address is justshootitpod@gmail.com. Thanks for coming on, Maya. If you want to reach us, ask us any questions, we're at justshootitpod on all social media. I'm on Instagram at @okaplan.
And I'm at Mr. Matt Edmo. This episode was edited by Kevin O'Yang. Thanks, Kevin. Our social media is by Lily Bouvier. The show is produced by Tyler Small, and you're listening to music provided by the Free Music Archive and the artist Jazar. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks,
Goodbye.
music supervisors.
Nice to meet you. Bye, guys.